Hello from Farland. Before we get started here today, I wanted to say that I really don't understand when people say things like, oh, I'm not going to let YouTube advertise on my videos. Well, why not? YouTube is doing us all a huge service. They provide the email alerts, they provide the storage, they provide the software that allows us to comment and communicate with each other. They also provide a certain amount of safety and that you're not completely exposed to whoever you're watching or whoever you're talking to. What's this all worth? I personally think it is worth letting them put skippable videos on our uploads. They deserve something for the service they are providing. Do they pay content providers? Yes, but so little it's insignificant unless you are getting millions of views, and I don't, and you probably don't either. So I say, let them show an ad once in a while. It's really no big thing. I wanted to cover a number of things in this video today, and it might get a little long. As you can see, I'm making good progress. By my reckoning, I'm about halfway around. In the beginning, my personal goal, was to build and connect one loop of track. I can fill the rest in once I get the one loop running. I was working at breakneck speed in the beginning, but I have decided to slow down a little bit and enjoy the process a little bit more. Well, I have a lot of stuff I want to talk to you about today, so let's get started. As far as turnouts are concerned, points are concerned, I've done a fair amount of research as to what is best for me, and I decided to go with tortoise motors. There's a number of reasons why I decided on tortoise motors. And when I researched it, I discovered that to get the contacts I wanted for the system that I hope to build, I would have to, and also to mount the point motors underneath the board without cutting a giant hole out. I would have to buy this and I would have to buy that, and I'd have to buy separate contacts, and there was a limit. So I decided to go with tortoise motors because I can buy these for the same price as I can get all those other pieces and parts. If you're not familiar with a tortoise motor, this is what they look like. This is powered and it moves back and forth. And that makes a little wire shift back and forth, which changes the turnout. Going on beyond that, I want to have a big panel somewhere with lots of lights on it and everything. I want to know what sections of track are occupied, and I want to know what position all my turnouts are in at a glance. So if they're all green, I know everything's pointing towards the main line. I can run without worrying about having a crash. If there's a yellow light, like this, then I know that one of them is turned towards the siding. Now what you see below on these lights, this is a complete mock-up here. I just wanted to test. I wanted to see the components that I bought and see if this whole thing worked, become familiar with the tortoise motor and its capabilities. Turns out I don't like the yellow ones much. So I've ordered some more yellow in the same style as this green one. They're much more compact and more attractive. They'll look good in a panel. So this tortoise motor has multiple contacts. There's solder connections. If you're smart, you'll solder them all up before you mount it. Let me show you what it's capable of. This is the diagram for it. Nothing to be scary about. Changing the tortoise motor involves changing the polarity between 1 and 8. And then you have 2 sets of switches to do a couple of things with. I'm using one set to change these lights. The other set I'm going to use to change the polarity of the point. If you don't understand all that about points and polarity and whatnot, I can do a video about it, but today I'm not going to get into it. I'm just going to let that one lay for now. So I've mocked this up to test it out. This is not the arrangement it'll be, but it does demonstrate the system, and I'm satisfied that I like the tortoise motor enough that I'm going to go ahead with it. Okay, moving right along. Let's move over here. Be right back. Right now, at this particular curve, I'm only interested in the inside or the outside. But in order to determine where the outside was going to be, I had to set up the inside in the middle. This, of course, is the 22.5-inch fixed radius track I'm buying from Hornby. I just bought a whole bunch more of it. It takes quite a few curves to do this layout. Something I discovered, I don't know why it never occurred to me before. I put the glue on this where we see where I glued the track to the pad. I put the glue on there about an hour ago. But instead of laying a string, I took a little piece of card and I smeared it out. So I spread it out. And it dried much faster, and boy, that is down there good. So that's the way I'll be doing it in the future. Before, I had just run a string along it and put some weight on it and called it good. To lay out this curve, I use these, and I set the distance between the rails at 46 millimeters from inside of this rail to inside of this one, and inside of this one to inside of that one. And if you don't remember that video, it's 01 in this series, and here's the link. Let's move on. I'm going to move you again. As I've talked about before, I just didn't have software that could coordinate the room size exactly and the things like this pole in the room precisely with the track plan. Well, as it turns out, I'm quite pleased to report that I'm going to be able to get this curve around inside that pole. I didn't know I had the pole on the outside of the tracks, on the inside of the tracks. I had the track split I'll show you that. But I'm quite pleased that I'm going to be able to get inside the pole. Tasty. Let's talk about track joiners, fish plates, track connectors. I've really grown to appreciate the Hornby joiners. They curve down, they curl down and put pressure on the track. And they work really well. They're easy to put on, easy to take off. Different track joiners are quite different. Some of them just try to wrap around the rail. And those don't work very well because they're usually not stiff enough and they lose their grip. But these don't, I mean, unless you intentionally deform them, they stay clipped pretty tight. And also there's a huge difference in insulating joiners. And you need those if you're using electrofrog turnouts like I am, you need insulated joiners. And these Hornby ones are really good. I have some of these clear plastic ones, but they're really hard to get on and they're not very durable. Whereas these Hornby ones, they go on easily. Seems like with this kind, I was always fighting it. So we were right over here a minute ago. As it turns out, I can make this curve and come around through here with all three tracks inside the pole. I really didn't know if I could or not because, as I said, I didn't have software that would coordinate the room exactly with the track. I've got some decisions to make. There's no big rush. Maybe you can help me with it. I'm trying to decide, well, first of all, I didn't realize I would be able to get the viaduct in here. I thought I was going to have to put it down here, and I definitely wanted it to be a part of the layout. So down here, I'm wondering if I could do one of multiple things. One, I could build like a harbor kind of a scene, as long as it didn't come out too far. Or the other thing is I could build an oceanfront scene. You know, with some water along here and maybe some old beat up looking containers with rocks sticking out of it to hold back the ocean. Or like I said, some sort of I want it to be some sort of a sea related scene though, because Farmore's here and I want it to be within a reasonable distance of the ocean. So tell me what you think there. I believe I have a little treat for you here. Give me just a minute to get everything rolling, and I think I can show you a train. Things are coming along nicely. I have my workstation set up over there. I've got my train shelving up. There's not really much in it yet. I'm not going to unpack very much until I get further along. I have to cover up the stuff that I've already taken out of the boxes. I have to cover it up while I'm working.